Tell us who your characters are and what's going on in your characters' lives when we first see you in this movie. What's going on there?
Julie Silver is the head of the A&R department at American Century Records, and my dear friend Richie Finestra, who I just think is just the most amazing genius working in the music business. He's kind of been carrying me for a while, because I think Julie is now in his 40s. A&R is a young person's game, you know. You really got to know not what's arrived, but what's coming, and you got to know the difference. And I don't think Julie anymore knows what's coming, doesn't understand where music is going. And in 1973, music is about to change dramatically from the dinosaur that is hippie music and you know, big bloated kind of productions. It's about to get very raw with the New York Dolls, with television, with the Ramones. And I think that Julie can sense that I don't really know anymore what's happening, and it's terrifying for him.
Yeah. And I play Clark Morrell. I'm also in the A&R department. I'm kind of directly under you. And my guys, so yeah, like A&R is, in 1973, it is kind of a young man's game. However, I think Clark lacks a certain cool factor needed to pick up on this new trend of rock and roll. And his ear is developing. He's trying to find a certain sound, a certain band, but he just keeps running into some bad luck. And I think
you're a victim of a little bit of conventional wisdom or crowd thought.
Crowd pleasing, really. It's like
groupthink.
Groupthink. Yeah, I'm trying to find what's popular.
He's looking for what's
next.
popular now, as opposed to what's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
Now, exactly. could these guys have operated without any drugs?
Impossible.
I'd say no, because I mean with A&R especially, you had to go out every single night, stay up till what 3, 4, 5 a.m. listening to bands, gauging crowd response. You got to be alert.
And then coming into the office.
The next day and having a full office day.
And then working all night again, over and over
and over again. So cocaine helps.
Cocaine to get going.
Yeah.
Ludes maybe to come down.
Yeah.
Ludes to have sex, or to keep having sex.
Yeah, and it was just like that. It wasn't really even like the DEA wasn't even really formed yet, was it?
I don't know about that. I didn't research.
I don't know, but it was one of those things that you took one to go up, you took one to go down. That was your whole day, just kind of riding those drugs, riding the drugs.
What makes Martin Scorsese such a master?
I'd say just because he's he's obviously very visually gifted, and the man is an encyclopedia of movie knowledge. Like he'll come up to you, he's like, "Oh, I like your shirt. It reminds me of that movie 1912, The Woman with Two Scarves. Right. First movie they ever used a dolly on." Or like whatever. He has this crazy knowledge of film. But on top of that, he's just an incredibly nice guy, and he's got this playful, energetic attitude, especially with his actors, and it just made it. At first you're a little bit intimidated because it's Martin Scorsese, but then you start working with him and you start playing, and it reminds you of why you wanted to be an actor.
He really frees you up.
Yeah.
You're allowed. You're allowed to try anything.
Everything.
You could say whatever you want, and he'll either say, "Get rid of that," or "Do that again." You might even give him an idea, and something that came out of, like you read the script, right, and what's on the page is fantastic, and you sort of want to stick to that. Suddenly, Scorsese comes in, and somehow, before you know it, what was on the page has now been like thrown up, and now it's a living thing.
Yeah.
And it may not exactly resemble what was written, but it is not what was written. It is what is written now with like a life force in it and actual people.
Yeah, it's not actors saying lines, it's people talking. Yeah.
Right.
Jack, how daunting was it to grow up with two movie stars as parents?
I wouldn't say it was daunting. It was interesting. I'll give you that. It was. I love my parents, but it was really just like growing up in any household. I realized what my parents did, and I think if anything, I got the performing bug early on, And if anything, to see my parents be successful at what they do and truly love what they do and have fun at what they were doing was encouraging enough for me to pursue it. So then I started doing plays, and I fell in love with the whole thing. And it was you know, that's what I'm still doing. Yeah.
How is the culture of New York, the New York, which is a character in this movie,
Definitely.
how different is it from today?
Well, I remember New York being the way it is in 1973, but 73 I was like 6 years old, so I don't recall it that well. And I grew up outside of New York, but New York was kind of like that throughout the 80s, into the 90s, and it wasn't until like Giuliani really cleaned it up that Times Square now looks like Disneyland. And yeah, it was gritty and it was dangerous, and certainly Alphabet City, where I remember hanging out with my friends back in the 80s, was dangerous, and now it's really nice.
Yeah.
And you don't want things to be dangerous, but you kind of go, well, it's not really like New York in some ways, is it? You know, you kind of miss it, and that's what's great about this show is I like all that. I like that era. I like seeing it in movies.
Our show brings back the grit of New York City.
Yeah,
Definitely.
New York was dangerous. I mean, it was dangerous. Like, you didn't go to Central Park.
No.
You didn't after dark. You know, you didn't go down the Lower East Side. And now it's totally different. It's totally different. My neighborhood where I live in the West Village, there, the meatpacking district, like 5 minutes ago, there was hunks of beef and blood in the gutters and from all the butchers, you know, and all that. Now it's
Now it's Trauma
height-
Juice Shop.
The
Oh,
height
the
of
whole
chic
juice.
haute couture. You
Yeah.
know, you can't go in there without dropping $1 million. You know, I
Yeah.
miss it.